All right, here are 12 tips to never, ever do a TEDx talk. These are some ways that if you never want to do a TEDx talk ever in your life, here's what you should do. Tip number one, wait to be approached or discovered, right? So approaching an event is really uncomfortable and you may have to get turned down. You have to articulate a topic and propose a topic that you want to speak about rather than waiting for them to come to you. And all of these things take effort. And they are uncomfortable and they're, so it really stretches people. So the best way to never do a TEDx talk, the probably number one way is just to wait around and wait, and say, well, I'm not going to do anything. If it's meant to be, they'll come to me and that's it. Number one, you should definitely not apply. Like that's for sure. You shouldn't ever reach out to events and apply because, that's going to increase your chances of actually getting it. And that's a bad thing if you want to avoid this goal. Number two, don't achieve your other goals in life. So if you want to do a TEDx talk, or if you don't want to do a TEDx talk, you definitely shouldn't travel. You should not write a book. You should not run a marathon. You should not challenge your mind or body in other ways. Improv comedy is probably a bad idea. Going out of your comfort zone, going to new restaurants, going to random places like Morocco, all these things are awful ideas because if you do these things, then a TEDx talk will feel mentally much easier. And it'll feel like it's well within the kind of realms of you as a badass, amazing person. And so the best way to avoid doing a TEDx talk is to not achieve any goals at all, because then everything that you do will feel like this big thing. All of my clients that are the most successful clients, they also, they travel a lot, they write books, they challenge their body in different ways, they go to crazy places in the world. They're very adventurous. Some of them speak multiple languages. You shouldn't do those things at all if you want to feel like a TEDx talk is mentally and psychologically normal. So tip number three, compare yourself to only the most famous TEDx speakers, right? So you look at someone who's like Brene Brown, who has like all these books and all this stuff and say, well, I'm not Brene Brown. Therefore, I'm not going to do a TEDx talk at all. This is one of the most effective ways to never do it. Only compare yourself to the top 1% of 1% of the world who's ever done it and say, well, I'm not at the exact top right now, so I'm not even going to try at all. Very, very good tip. All right. Number four, assume that the most perfect topic in the world will just pop into your head one day as you're going about your business. So this is a really good way to never do it because chances are you've never selected speakers for a TEDx event before. You don't know what things will get turned down and you don't know the actual pitching process for a TEDx event. So if you assume that it's going to just pop into your head one day, you don't know how to evaluate those things accurately. And so it'll never feel like you're ready. And so you'll never want to do it. It would be like if somebody came to me and said, well, I'm hoping that Ryan, me, can tell somebody what kind of person could become a supermodel. Like I have no idea, right? I don't know what they're looking for, and so I would feel like, well, yeah, who knows? Like I'm never ready to become a supermodel, right? Very amazing way to do it is to assume that the idea will pop into your head one day. All right. Number five, go to Toastmasters. Toastmasters is an amazing way to get better at speaking, but any topic can be shared at Toastmasters. They don't help you get better at the ideas itself. Most Toastmasters world champion speakers have never once done a TEDx talk, and that should tell you something. It should tell you that if you get really good at Toastmasters, you're not getting closer to a TEDx talk. So that is a very effective way to do it. I've done I think table topics one time at Toastmasters. I suspect that if I had done table topics for years and went and really went all in on becoming a Toastmaster, then I would have never done a TEDx talk as well. So that's a great tip. All right. Tip number six, hunt field mice. So there's this great quote by this guy named Newt Gingrich. And so he says that, at the end of every day, so here's the quote, like a lion could hunt field mice. So they could go in and they're perfectly capable of going out and hunting down field mice and eating those. But it turns out there's so much energy required to go and hunt that field mouse that it actually is more energy required than the amount of nutrition that the mouse provides, right? A lion needs to hunt antelope, right? And antelope take far more energy to hunt down But at the end of the day, the reward is disproportionate, and the reward is like huge. So he says, at the end of the day, did I spend today hunting field mice or antelope? And similarly, if you want to get really, really, really far away from TEDx Talk and never, ever do it, you should spend your entire day doing social media tweets, writing little blog posts, speaking for free to small events, things like that are little effort, but also very little reward, right? If you want to do a TEDx Talk, you should definitely avoid any kind of big goal. You should avoid writing books because these are big things. These are sort of antelope. You should avoid charging a lot of money for a client, right? Charging $20 an hour, $50 an hour is much easier, much more comfortable, and it will keep you as far away from TEDx as possible. You should hunt field mice. Very, very, very tiny goals. Don't pursue anything big ever. Okay? That applies to fitness. That applies to your business. That applies to everything. Hunt little goals. Okay. Tell yourself, here's tip number 7. If you get turned down, a great way to avoid TEDx forever is to tell yourself it wasn't meant to happen, right? Blame it on the universe. So that's a great way to avoid TEDx forever, because then it means that you'll never be able to improve yourself and improve the pitch, right? So if you blame the universe, it's not your fault. Amazing. Okay, tip number 8 to never do a TEDx talk is if you get turned down, blame it on the event. Say, well, the theme wasn't right. They're biased. It's political. I didn't have the right, connections, things like that. So definitely blame it on them. It's again, this will keep you from improving. So this is a great way to never do a TEDx talk is blame it on TEDx, blame it on the specific event. Okay. Tip number 9 to avoid a TEDx talk forever is to blame it on your topic. Say, oh, I guess TEDx events don't like leadership. Or I guess there's just nothing about relationships that any TEDx event ever in the world will want, right? This is a great attitude because, if you want to stay authentic to your field, right? And you love leadership, or you love relationships, or love mental health, you can just tell people like, oh, well, I guess it's my field. They don't like it at all. This is great because you can avoid the actual reality, which is there are some leadership coaches who do really well and have amazing TEDx talks, right? And some that get turned down, and you can always blame it on your topic. Perfect. Okay. Tip number 10 is to wait to hear about events organically from your network. So sit around and say, it'll pop up on my news feed, or someone will tell me if there's a TEDx event around, and it'll just be kind of in the back of my mind. I kind of wait to hear about events, which is amazing because by the time an event does their kind of heavy marketing, they've already selected speakers, or at least the speaker application deadline has mostly passed. And so you'll hear about an event, tell yourself, oh well, I didn't hear about it by the deadline. I guess I'll just do it next year, and the same thing will happen next year. And you'll feel like you're making progress because you thought about the events. You miss a deadline, and you can now blame it on the deadline, not yourself. Excellent tip. Okay, tip number 11 is to write your entire TEDx talk first. This is great because for a number of reasons. You tell yourself you're making progress. This is one, but you waste a ton of energy in the process. So you're more or less burned out. There's a lot of people that have a TEDx talk written and it's on their computer hard drive somewhere, and they've told themselves that they're sort of ready, and that ready process has been occurring for years. And this is an amazing way to waste a lot of energy. It's also great because sometimes people tell them like, oh, I'm a TEDx coach, and their only experience is in writing a talk. And so they can tell themselves like, oh, I took real action. I hired somebody, worked with somebody. And there's a lot of these coaches. If you want to avoid a TEDx talk forever, you should definitely hire one of these people because they know how to write a talk, but they have no idea how to get you booked. And so you might end up wasting thousands of dollars writing a talk about a topic that needs to be changed to get you booked in the first place. I worked with a number of people who've come to me and they've like hired someone to write a talk and they haven't got booked, sometimes for years and years and years, and they kind of eventually give up. So this is like writing your talk first is an amazing way to never do a TEDx talk. And tip number 12, this is a fun one, if you want to never do a TEDx talk, you should read the book Talk Like TED. All right? After all, it's talk like TED, not talk at TED. And Carmine Gallo, I'm sure he's an amazing guy, but he's never done a TED talk or a TEDx talk, and that should tell you something, right? It should tell you that book and speaking in a particular style, if you choose to do that, is not going to get you booked. So if you read that book, again, you can tell yourself that you're taking action. You can tell yourself that you're moving forward, but you're never going to do it. And so if you never want to do a TEDx talk, you should read Talk Like TED. Let's recap. So 12 tips to never, ever do a TEDx talk. Number 1, wait to be approached or discovered. Number 2, don't achieve any other big goals yourself either. Number 3, only compare yourself to the most famous TEDx speakers. Number 4, assume that the perfect topic would just pop into your head one day. Number 5, go to Toastmasters. Number 6, hunt field mice. So spend your day doing like social media and things like that, checking email, engaging with people. Number 7, if you get turned down, blame it on the universe. Tell yourself it wasn't meant to happen or not the right time. Number 8, if you get turned down, blame it on the events themselves, the organizers. Number 9, blame it on your topic. Number 10, wait to hear about events organically from your network, which means you're going to miss application deadlines. Number 11, write your talk first. And number 12, read Talk Like TED. So those are my 12 best tips for never, ever doing a TEDx talk. Of course, this was all tongue in cheek. My name is Ryan. I work as a coach to help people actually go land a TEDx talk so that they can get it done and get it done on the best TEDx stages. So, of course, if you want to do a TEDx talk, you just do the opposite of all these things, right? Actually go apply for events, get help on your topic from someone who's actually selected speakers and knows what works and what doesn't work. If you get turned down, don't blame it on the events. Think, okay, this is a pitching game. I need to get better myself with my approach, and focus again on applying for events proactively. You're not waiting until after they've selected speakers. Like, go and actually hunt down events. Focus on big goals in all areas of your life, right? Go run the marathon, go travel, go write the book, go try the crazy cool new restaurant just because it's an adventure and just because you can. And that is all. If you want to work with me, if you want to hear more, my website is viralmessagelab.com. I will leave a link below this video as well if you want to get in touch. So that is that. And of course, I hope you found this funny. A fun kind of thing is that our brains are much better at detecting threats than they are at looking for opportunities. So a fun way that I borrowed from Charlie Munger and who's the other guy? Not Alex Becker. Alex Hormozy. Alex Hormozy was to take the negative thing, identify the negative thing, and flip it around to get the positive thing. So I hope you found this video interesting and entertaining, and I will see you soon.